Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike with Project Dad Life. This week's project is going to be building a simple 4-foot wide fence gate. We are going to do it with basic tools, and hopefully this will be the best design for budget and strength. Let's get started. Here's the design I drew up quickly that we're going to go for. It's going to be a 2x4 frame around the perimeter. We'll have one diagonal piece going from corner to corner for support so it doesn't sag. These will be pressure treated. For tools, we're going to keep this super simple. I'm going to use a circular saw, DeWalt, battery powered. We have some exterior decking screws. I have some construction adhesive. So we'll glue all the seams on the 2x4 supports. I also got these from Home Depot. I saw them last minute and they're just some corner like jigs for extra support. I'm going to paint this whole gate black so these will get covered up, and I think this will help a lot with preventing it from sagging. And then we have our square, so this will give me straight cuts and 45s and a pencil, and that is it. So let's get started. At this point, we've made the square. The 45 cuts on each end of a 2x4, go together like a puzzle, and they will make a square that's pretty close, but it's not perfect. To get the square perfect, we're gonna use a right angle and a couple clamps, and I will clamp these on each end, and it will hold the 45s perfectly square. Before I do that, I don't want to backtrack. I'm going to go ahead and glue my corners and get ready to screw them, because once I get this side clamped and glued, I'll screw it together. This side will be done, and I'll work my way around each corner and do that same method all the way around. With all the corners glued and secured with one screw, I'm gonna go back with the big square. I'll clamp it to each corner, fine tune everything, and then attach the corner braces. And this should make it pretty sag proof. Good job, bud. All right, guys, so the frame is complete. We did a nice 45 in the middle to hold the weight, and hopefully that will help with some of the anti-sagging, because our hinges are gonna be mounted on this side, our latch on that side. So that's why we chose to do this diagonal piece right here. And these little 45-degree metal brackets are 9-degree metal brackets that I got from Home Depot. Worked out perfectly. I actually folded one of these corners up, and it worked out perfect to catch the diagonal piece in the center. And we just glued it together, put a couple screws on each end, straight through the ends into the 2x4s, and then did use some sheetrock screws to attach these metal brackets. So I have like 1,000 sheetrock screws left over from my house build, and it's so hard for me not to use them because I have them in the free, so I use them on everything. Who else does that? Because I know they're not exterior, but they're free. So I definitely use the sheetrock screws. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys do the same thing, because sheetrock screws are the ones that always seem to be around. All right, next step on this is getting our fence pickets up. So we're gonna lay this down flat on the ground, and then we're just gonna start laying out our fence pickets to go vertical, and we're gonna double check our measurements on our fence, make sure it is the correct width so it'll allow the gate to swing open correctly. And then once we get to that point and we got it laid out correctly, we'll just space these pickets out until they work. And then whatever gap ends up being, hopefully there'll be maybe 1 inch gap. It could be 1/2 inch, could be, 1.5 inches would still work keeping the dogs in. So however they lay out, I got 8 of them. So let's just go and throw them on there and see how it fits. Watch your big old feet. So let's lay this house side on the ground, and then our fence pickets are gonna go right here. Let's grab them. Before we jump ahead of ourselves, one thing we're gonna measure and make sure we're gonna have enough room for before we finish off that frame is our hinge mounts. This is the hinge mounts we're using, or the hinge kit. It is from Amazon, and it is the budget, is the cheapest, prettiest one I found. The hinges will be fine. They're not gonna take up a lot of room because they are mounted flat going from your mounting post to your gate, unless you do an inside hinge. So that means like you will do, when the door shuts, it'll actually close on a hinge side or a mount. That's not what we're doing. It's gonna be flat straight across. So this gap on this left side or one side will just have to be enough to allow the 2x4 to swing open. Now, what you want to keep in mind is your gate latch, what type of gate latch you're using. We are using a flush mount, your kind of traditional picket fence gate latch system, and this thing mounts to the inside of the mounting post. So when the gate closes, it'll actually go in front of this. So you want to measure this and get a rough measurement, and make sure you have enough thickness or enough room to mount this in between without the gate hitting it. Let's get those pickets mounted on there and see how it looks. Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Let's go. Overlay on the ground, because we're going to have to cut all the top of these. Let's see how much reach. Thank you. Wow, we got one extra. That's perfect. Put it down right there. And squeeze it over. Then we'll get a screw.
This one is solid.
Perfect. Now we'll take a spacer up here, space the top part out.
Yeah.
And all right, spacer right here, remember? Spacer right there.
Yeah.
Perfect. 1.5 inches. Perfect, now we put a screw. We're almost complete. The last thing we gotta do is cut the arch in the top, and that's just gonna be one single radius. To do that, it's gonna be very simple. I'm gonna take a string. I'm gonna pick a spot right here, put a screw in there, and then I will take the string, and I know my center height is gonna be 55 inches. And then if we follow the string's radius all the way down, it should end close to 49 inches, and that is exactly where I want it. Now, if this radius is not correct, you can either lengthen or shorten this radius and it'll work out perfect. So that actually hit right on the money. So now all I have to do is get my pencil and I will wrap it up at 55 inches. And I'm just gonna draw a rainbow. It came out perfect, guys. I love the fact that the pickets actually hid the metal brackets, which everything will be black, so it'll kind of blend in anyway. The radius on top came out perfectly. Just remember, when you're doing this radius, I did have to set my saw depth really super shallow so you can get a good radius on there. Just remember that fact. Let's go install it. I always hate a gate that does not latch correctly or doesn't work for a long time. So this is a latch system we have, and as you can see, it's about a 1/2 inch. And I already put these face laps on here with the boards, and that way my latch system will mount right here, and that's why we left 1 inch or about a 1/2 inch on each side of the frame. So this is about where it'll go. The gate should fit perfectly in there with a 1/2 inch on each side. So let's get this thing mounted. I put a couple 2x4s on the ground just to kind of keep it level. Maybe we'll tack it up into place so it's easier to hold, and then mount the hinges. That's exactly where it needs to go. Perfect, that's plenty of room for our latch. Hinges mount right there. Let's take a step back and just make sure it's squared up.
Just let you do it.
You just don't know what to do with your hands, do you, ever? Metal Baxter back there. All right, test it out. Does it work? All right. Come through, let's swing open. $70. The total cost for that gate was $70. Of course, I'll put all the information and break down the parts list below. But yeah, that was super cheap and we were so happy with it. Only one thing left to do. All right guys, another project for the week complete. This fence gate came out perfectly, and like I said, it was only $70. Super good deal, super durable. All that information and the spec sheet on the build will be in the description below. As always, thank you guys for watching this week, and we will see you next week. If you like this type of content, please help out and subscribe and like to the channel. Give us a thumbs up, all that stuff. And again, God bless, and we will see you guys next week for another project.